Hey, Larry, did
Anybody,
you say Caliber hires new people with very little experience?
they do. If you can talk well enough and go in there, they may put you out there and say, write me an estimate. That's why I say when you get to the strength of writing an estimate, you can go out there. You can go out there and write an estimate. They will hire beginners. They do. Lots of companies do. That's a company, Service King, and there's Caliber. They're all across the country. They have a lot of different shops, and they always like to bring on new people. So, hey, I'm telling you, I know that's 90 a year. And they're all over the place. So a lot of times you'll find one of those shops right down the street from you. You can get on right there. Um, we had a couple of people. I had one of our students in a couple of classes back. He went straight to work for Caliber. He called me and he said, man, Caliber put me on. He said, I was talking, but I had
Was
to
that
get away.
Tony?
Tony, that's who that was, sure was. And he did great. Tony, I haven't heard from him in a while, but he was working. When he
And
called,
saying
he was working.
and saying he was the lowest person in the class, and he went and talked it,
He
got him.
sure was. He was timid. He didn't think he could do it. And I remember the first day he called me, he felt that he was ready to go. He said, I want to get this. I need to make some money. He said, I want to do this. And he said, I'm going to switch and get into something new, but I can learn it. He came in, he did just like you're doing, and you're going to have more time with me than he did. He didn't have half the time that you're having. But we only did a couple of hours per week. So you're getting an additional 2 hours a week. And he was able to walk out here with an ability to write an estimate, and he did. And they put him to work. And when he called me, he was working. So that being said, let's get ready and close on that note. Everybody, I tell you what, you guys back yet?
Sir.
I'm going to show you this. This is something I want to show you because we talked about it, but since we're talking in a different frame here. Hang on a second. What it is right here, this is what we call a floor post. So since it was there, I wanted to show it to you since we have an opportunity. See this? This is what I started on working and pulling frames. This is a floor post. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
He's hooking up back there. What we were talking about, he's hooking up, looks like to the body. This was hit right here. See this damage? And see the tension coming up on this pole? This chain, he's pulling it. Now he's not on he doesn't have it hooked up on the bench. He's not up on what you call a bench, but he's doing a floor pull. And what he's doing is trying to pull this dent out right here on this quarter count, on the bedside. See, this bedside has damage right here. And what they do is you put a clamp on, tighten it up. He made his pull. See, he wanted to pull this back. That's what he was doing. Now, this will still have to be worked. Take the light out, do some body work. But see that dent right there? That's a dent that has to come out. So he's pulling the strongest part of the panel first, which is the lower part, to get it lined up. Then he's going to come up and pull it again. But in this case here, this is one pull. This is a pull, but you could give a couple of hours on this pull. This doesn't have to be 1 hour. This, I would give about 2 to 3 hours, 2.5 hours to make this pull. And the reason is, in the floor post setup, you don't have as much to pay him setting up. Floor post, you can give him about 150 bucks. This is a post. He has to there's holes down in the floor, and he has to do what you call tie downs. He'll tie it down, and he'll make his pulls. So what he's doing now, he's got tension on it. He connected it again. He's putting a pull on it, and he's working it from the inside. And when he does this, he's taking tension off of this big dent up here. He'll tap, he'll pull, and it's releasing. And so in this case, this is repair and pull. But look at that damage on the tailgate right there. See that little damage? Give him about 2 hours repair. He'll need to do about 2 hours repair. He'll have to replace these two emblems. But what he's doing now, he's got what you call a slide hammer. He's going to take that slide hammer and work on that pound. He'll snatch it out. Because this metal right here is kind of thin. It's not strong. It's an outer pound, but it's welded to an inner structure. And so it would be easy to get this dent out if the inner structure wasn't dented so bad. So behind this panel is what he's working on. He's pulling the tension off, and he's going to work that panel enough to where he can work these dents up here. And he let that down. And see, that was considered a pull. And I would give him at least 3 hours on this, working this side, because I give him a couple of hours for the structure and at least another hour for the panel. See, he changed it, he tightened it, and he's putting his foot on that. This is air hydraulic pull. You don't want to be standing around this in the body shop if you go in there. They won't let you out there anyway. But if you're an adjuster, you can go back there, but you have to watch your head because you don't want to be around somebody pulling. If this slips off, it could hit you. So he's got a dent here. There's a dent there. There's a dent here. So he's pulling the tension right here. That's what he's working on. See that? As it come out? Yeah. See, he's pulling it. And when you let it go, it's gonna pop back. So he'll come over here. See his dent right here? He'll have to work this out. See what he's gonna do next. These are clamps. There's more clamps right there. Those are clamps that he has. He's gonna put this clamp together. He'll use this clamp, put it on the truck, continue pulling. So let's get over there. Now he's doing a weld. He's gonna weld that panel on. He's welding that plate. He's making a weld to that plate. And he's welding that little plate to this part of the truck. That's just a makeshift tool. We do it all the time. That's an old door hinge. Look at that. Looks like. So he welded that and he's pulling that area because it was damaged. Now he's going to put that clamp on. So that's a tool. It's a design for that. He's going to put a pull in that chain right there. Take that, put it in. He'll need to tighten it up to take the slack out. He'll go back to the back and he'll tighten it to take the slack out. See, he'll move his chain, move the post. See those poles? A chain is leading to a post in the floor over here. There's a pot. They call it a pod. So he's tying down. That's a tie down. He has one on each side. There's one back here. There's one here. That keeps the frame machine from sliding forward when he makes the pull. But he's talking now, he wants this post to be on the outside here. He's about to make an angle pull because he wants it to come this way. Remember we were talking about sway? What he was pulling was mash. We didn't talk about that, but that's a straight on here. That's mash. And the first one he was making a pull on would be considered mash. That's just a straight pull. He had a straight mash. So now he's pulling in at an angle out to the left, which he wants to bring it out. I wouldn't go so far as to say that this had so much sway, but it did move the panel in. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Let me see what we're doing here. I think I got everything turned off. Never turned anything back off. Y'all can still see the screen, right? Now, do you hear any echo saying we still good?
Yes.
Still good.
Still good. All right, see that dent? Now he's pulling this because he's working on this dent up here. So we have two dents. He has all this, he has this, and he's got another dent up here. Now, how would you write this? That's a good question. In this case, with this much damage, it might have been easier. He could have put a bedside on. This is a late model truck. This bedside might have cost about $600 in itself just to replace, just panel. Plus about 15, 16 hours to put it on. But he has tension on this panel now and it's pulled and he has tension. He's just tapping it so that the metal will release. See how it's coming out? Look right there at that shadow. He's getting rid of it. As he taps on it, he's pulling it. He'll have to do more work than this, but he's really hitting it now so he can knock the tension out. There's another dent here. He's working on this one. Still has to get this one. He's going to have to do something different on that one. He's probably going to have to get his slide hammer, put some holes right there, or not. Nowadays, they don't use holes. If he does, if we're really going old school, he could because we're using a floor post. But you put some holes or either you weld your pegs to this and take your slide hammer and snatch those out. But he still has a lot of work to do. He needs to take his light out. We break this. I recommend what he's doing. That's an easy way to break that light. But he's using the light for an example, but it's all part of this same panel. But I know what he's doing. It's knocked out over here. He pulled it out. He might have pulled it too far. When he pulled it a little far. So what he's doing now is about to make another pull. He's going to weld another plate here, and he's going to have to pull again. Look at the damage. Look at, he's working around this light. That's so scary. Oh, man. Because I would take that light out and set it back in there to measure by when I need this measure. I take it out, work on it, put it up and measure. See how it's kicked out right here? That's because it was hit from the inside. Hit here. This is a sway. So this was a sway that he had. He had mash and he had a sway. We got about 15 minutes. I gotta go. But did you get an understanding, everybody? Everybody got an understanding.
Yes. Yes.
So that just gives you an idea when you start talking about pulling, making those pulls, you're just trying to handle your justification. This one is not so deep. This one is quite deep. And what has to happen, they need to do some repair work in this area here. All this section here is going to need sanding and Bondo work, and you'll get a chance to see that when we get into that section. We're not in that section, but I'm doing this because I want to show you how we make a decision on which part to buy. So there's damage here, there's damage on the rear door, damage on the front. So what I'm showing you is I'm going to repair both doors, but only the outer skin. And because I have to paint or repair both doors and the outer skin, my primer and my repair is going to probably come about this far, and I'm going to need to clear the rest of the door. So I'm going to show you how I would do this, writing this. And in this case, I'm going to say a dent this big. When he finishes, it's going to be here. When he finishes with primer, it's going to be here. I like a little more space before I get to that front for my blending space. So I'm going to say, I'll go ahead and blend into this front fender for the fender, and I'll show you why. And as far as the back is concerned, we'll get to that part. But I'm going to show you this. I want to show you one other thing so you'll know what we're doing when I'm doing it. Now, quarter panel. Wow, that's clean. Okay, quarter panel. There's a little damage right here. There's a little damage right there. So that's going to force us to get onto this quarter panel. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fix this. I'm going to have to address the gas filler. We'll paint that. We'll paint the rest of the quarter panel. We'll have to take the lamp out to do it. We'll need to take the bumper off, which come off right here. Take it off. We don't need to do anything to it. Take the bumper off, take the tail lamp out. And we do that because you're trying to avoid paint overlap, and you'll learn that when we get to the paint section. So, but I am going to blend up over this door so that we'll keep, because there's no breaking point. Like this windshield has a breaking point. There's a breaking point. This is not a breaking point. So there's no way to paint and it'd be smooth right here. So we're going to blend with clear only, just so to be nice and smooth. So the repair's here, but because we're going to do a blend and repair this area and paint, we're going to go ahead and clear all of this section right here. And that'll look just like that. It'll look nice and beautiful when they finish these damages here. And that right there, all of it will look just like it should look. So I'm going to write that for you right quick. I'm not going to look again. I probably will, just so I won't miss anything for you. But I've got a picture in my head and I know what I need to do. And so I'll do it. Let me move this and I'll show you where the rubber meets the road. So let's put some time on that door. I'd like to do that door. I'm going to say at least 6 hours. I don't like to get into 7 and 8 hours on outer panel repair. If you're getting into that many hours, you might need to go ahead and put a panel on, but I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do 6 hours. I generally won't go over 6. I'll do 5 5.5, 6, sometimes 6.5. One like this, I would say 7 would not be unreasonable. I'll do it for repaire's sake. It's not the end of the world if a shop wants 7. Now, when they start talking 8, no, that's a non-starter. We're gonna replace the panel if we start to talk that much labor time. So we don't need to do anything else. I'm just gonna run through this bare minimum. In this case, we're gonna do that door, and so since I had it, I'll go in and we'll go ahead and do some things that you need to do anyway. Let's do them anyway, so you know that that's done inside. We'll take the door trim panel off so you can get to those panels. And what this is called is R&I. So this is remove and install. So you'll see this again. R&I is what we just used. There's the tab for it right here. You can do it. And it's telling me it's already been selected. So R&I, we're going to take the door trim panel off so we can get to the lock that's going to be inside, and it will need to come off. The handle will need to come off. So we'll select it. See the photograph? See the picture here? Number 2 is the one we want. Number 2, this is the inside, but the outside, this is number 2. That's that handle. Everybody knows what a door handle is, and there's a reason we take it off, because first you need to take it off to work on it. And you saw where the damage was on this panel. It was right underneath the door handle. See, we have to take this door handle off. This is a handle that could be painted. So in this case, we'll probably paint this before they put it back. But since so much work is going to go on here, this handle is going to have to come out because it's going to be refinished. We are going to R&I this belt molding because they're not damaged, but in order to paint, we'll need to do that. So you'll learn that when we get to the paint section. Let's go back. But right now, we take that handle out. It's out, clean sweep. That's what the interior trim was. You took that off so you could get to that handle. Now, since we're in here, we may as well go ahead and take the belt molding off. I showed you that. Going to need the belt molding. That comes up early. It's called a belt molding. That molding that I showed you is the belt molding. And it's right. It really makes sense when you look at on the quarter pound. So all of that, that's the belt molding. All that chrome is the belt molding, not this part. This is a quarter. Now, you may have to buy a quarter if you're doing a hail claim and there's a dent in this quarter pound molding right here, this glass molding. Most cases, you'll have to buy this complete glass because this molding will come with it. It'll come made together. So if you're doing a hail claim and you get these moldings deemed up, you include this one. This one's probably going to be a complete glass every now and then. With most of the cars nowadays, you need to buy the complete glass. So you can go ahead and buy that one, LKQ. You won't find it aftermarket. You probably can find it NAGS, and you may end up having to go OEM if you're forced to, but in some cases you will. But in this case, we're not buying this glass, but we do need to take it off. Why? Because we're going to paint this quarter pound. And to paint this quarter pound, you don't want your paint sticking to your rubber. There's a rubber seal behind these moldings because there's glue back there to hold this glass in. So if you get this paint, that paint touching that glue, what it's going to do, it's going to stick. When you pull the tape off that you had covering the quarter glass, it'll pull that and may start your paint to peel. So that's something you'll learn when if you ever, I was a painter for a number of years. I could do this. I could paint all this. This is easy. I can make a car look just like this, if not better. This is pretty good. So I can match that. I can do these repairs. So what I'm telling you is you can do a repair right here and a repair right here. And you're going to need, because you repair this, by the time they get this nice and straight, this dent and the primer that you put up over this and the body filler that the body man is going to put over this, it's going to come this far. And you won't have much blending space for here and then to clear the rest. So you need to be able to end your paint and then clear the rest. But in this case, paint won't end to this far and just not enough room to clear. So what we'll do is we'll blend into this fender and we're going to repair this quarter panel. So the same thing that we did on the front door, we'll do it on the rear. So all you have to do is go back and just duplicate yourself. So what we're doing, you go back to the rear door and do the exact same thing. The dents are pretty much the same. They look close. So back to the outer panel. You don't want this. You don't want the shell. That's the shell. Number 1 is the shell. And if you're going to replace the shell, you grab this one and you replace the shell. And it'll come up here and it'll have your LKQ selections, and you'll be able to pick what you want. You can also select LKQ from recycle. And this system doesn't have any LKQ parts in it, so I can't bring those up for you. But aftermarket would come up right here. So you can look at, there's an optional OEM. There's another part that I didn't mention to you now. It's still a aftermarket basically, but it's optional OEM can be a couple of things. One of those is a surplus, an extra surplus of parts, and that means a non-vendor can carry and sell another vendor's merchandise at a reduced price, and he give them authorization to do it. So it can be an OEM part, and it can be sold by an aftermarket vendor. So a lot of parts can be sold that way. But these are OEM, and they're opt OEM. When you have a lot of extra parts they need to get rid of, a lot of time they'll sell them as opt OEM. So you'll see that. You probably won't see that on a door panel like this. But in this case, we do not see one. We're going to get an OEM, or we're repairing it. We're repairing it. So let's do repair. Same thing. I'd say about 6.5 hours on this door. You can put any notes you need to right here. If you need to put a note right there, you can say R9 for access, anything. That lets them know. And when you, I like to do it in caps. And if you put a note there, it'll print out on your estimate, and you're doing an R9. So if you R9 that panel, but here we're doing a repair, so you won't have it. So that line note would match an R9 and not to repair, so make sure you put it there. But you could put any note you want about repair right there, okay? So we don't need a note. Left door, let's see, we can go back to properties if we choose. We did that. Everything we need, we've done. Now we do need to go down and take that belt molding, iron out that belt molding. I'm going to speed up the process for you so we can get it done. But I wanted to talk you through a little bit of it. This interior trim panel, doing the same thing. Sometimes you can do some systems both sides. I don't appreciate that practice, because sometimes you'll accidentally get in the habit of doing it and accidentally put the same part on the other side. So I don't even preach that practice. So everybody understand so far? Any questions before we move from the door?
No.
Those are, you quoted them you allowed them 7 hours. Is that for total or for each door?
That's for each door. I did. Remember we did the front door.
Yeah.
We have
Okay. So
7
for
hours
each door.
right there.
Yeah.
The rear door is going to be here. That's your 6. And you have paint time separate from different. Everything it carries its own weight. Everything is separate. So there's your paint time, and your body labor will be in this column. And if you buy a part, it'll be here. So now let's move on to the quarter panel. Remember we talked about that little damage that was down low? Now look at this picture. This is what you have to get in the habit of doing, is looking at photographs and looking. Now you remember this damage that we had?
Yes.
See how that panel looks exactly like what we're looking at. That's why I say it's not complicated, because when you get in the system, it's going to show you. It's going to show you that part. See how it looks just like that part. Now, sometimes you run into parts that are not quite identical, but most part, they're identical. Now you'll notice that part cuts off here and down here. If you bought that part, that's where it will come. It's the outer skin. It is not the intersection like we looked at the other day. Remember we talked the other day? And that was last night. I make it sound like a week ago. Anyway, see this section right here? It's missing. This is behind the panel. That's not what we're doing. We did not need to do that. We're not replacing this panel. All we're doing is a simple repair. So we're going to need just a basic repair to this, and we're going to do it down here. And I want you to see what that panel looks like. It looks the exact same, and you see it'll come just like this. When they buy it to put it in, this is an outer skin. This is a liner. This is a plastic part. So let's do a repair right quick. That was not much. I'm going to put about 3 hours. I'll say 2.5 hours down there. 2.5 is enough. Now, I want to reduce my paint. I shouldn't go into this, but I'm going to do it just so you can see me do it, because some companies like for you to do it. And what they're doing is, see right here, this paint time is 2.2. Add for edging, we don't need to do because we're not doing anything to need an edge. The only thing you could justify is mean add for pillar. We might put a little extra paint inside because you're going to have to tape this panel up to keep from getting to it. You'll see that when we get in paint, but I wanted to show you that. So I could add a little bit for pillar because we probably have to paint the inside of this and then go ahead and paint the rest of that. But he would paint the inside of it first, what we call cut in. Then he can come back and then he can paint this with the door closed, and he's going to paint both doors at the same time. So he'll paint both doors and this quarter all at the same time, and I'll show you that. Okay, here we go. 2.2. So we did a repair on that quarter panel, and we talked about the rear bumper. Now, I mentioned that I wanted to take the bumper off. I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to take the tail lamp out. I told you why. I'm going to R&I it. That's it. If you hit it twice, it says it's already there. You say no, well, don't want it again. Now we're going to go to the rear bumper. We wanted to take the bumper off. Remember, we needed to take that bumper off for paint reasons. So we're going to take the bumper off. Everybody with me?
Yes.
That bumper off. Already hit it. It's already done. Good deal. So now we've already had the bumper. We did not do anything to the gas lid. Let me go back to the quarter panel. Find that gas lid. There it is, number 13.